In reference to our use of quotations of short passages, it is sometimes argued that using them apart from their entire source may distort the intent of the authors. However, by downloading the supporting documents found at our website at whoisyourcreator.com, you will find that the quotes we use are in context and cannot be taken any other way. If you believe otherwise, please email us with specific information and we will review your claim. It should also be noted that the quotes in this video are from pro-evolutionary sources, and we acknowledge that the expressed content did not alter the author's belief in evolution. From the supernatural God of the Bible to the theory of evolution, we all believe in some type of creation story, and they all require one thing: faith. Faith in the supernatural creative force of God, or faith in the unguided creative force of evolution. Since man first gazed upon the stars above, the quest for understanding the universe has been a perplexing endeavor. While we will never fully grasp the vastness and complexities of the universe, what we have discovered about it clearly points to the only force which would have the creative power to bring it about. According to the National Academy of Sciences, a universe created by unguided naturalistic forces would point to explanations that are, quote, based on naturally occurring phenomena, and are, in principle, reproducible and therefore can be checked independently by others, unquote. These standards can be found in their pro-evolution book called Science, Evolution, and Creation. Conversely, a universe created by God would reflect explanations that rely on supernatural forces, commonly defined as ones that would be, quote, attributed to a power that seems to violate or go beyond natural forces, unquote. These are the standards and definitions that we will be continually citing throughout this video as we take you through evolution's creation story for the universe, commonly referred to as the Big Bang Theory. The first question one must address is what force is behind the initial creation of space, time, matter, energy, and the laws that govern them. The answer from most Big Bang followers is that there was no force, and they all arose from nothing. Yes, while many might bristle at this bold statement, there is simply no other place to start. There was nothing, and then there was something. The following are several quotes that describe this something from nothing belief. The first one is from NASA and explains that the universe began with a, quote, simultaneous appearance of space everywhere in the universe, unquote. The European Organization for Nuclear Research states that, quote, space, time, matter, everything originated in the Big Bang, an incommensurably huge explosion that happened 13.7 billion years ago, unquote. Finally, theoretical physicist and cosmologist Professor Stephen Hawking stated, quote, because there is a law such as gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing. Spontaneous creation is the reason there is something rather than nothing, why the universe exists, why we exist, unquote. The belief that something could possibly come from nothing has its roots in the uncertainty principle, which was devised in 1927 by Werner Heisenberg. Its original intent was for allowing and acknowledging a limited amount of unexplained phenomena when proposing physics principles. However, in a bizarre twist, the uncertainty principle is now used as an excuse for declaring that supernatural phenomena is actually naturalistic, thus twisting the something from nothing premise into a naturally occurring phenomenon. Here is the proper description of the uncertainty principle from the U.S. Department of Energy. Quote, in the strange, non-intuitive world of quantum mechanics, some very peculiar things are allowed. Within the limits of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, changes in mass, energy, position, momentum, and time are allowed, that otherwise are impossible. What this means is energy can spontaneously appear from nowhere so long as it does not last too long. Particles can pop up out of a vacuum as long as they do not have too large a mass or do not last too long. One might be inclined to dismiss this all as the wild imagination of physicists, but some things have been observed that require that interpretation, unquote. Something coming from nothing is clearly a supernatural process, but if you should happen to profess any skepticism about it, you will be accused of simply not being smart enough to comprehend it. Sadly, the current trend for many Big Bang followers is to fully embrace this something from nothing belief. Theoretical physicist Lawrence Krauss is one of the leading followers and proponents, and Krauss even titled one of his lectures, A Universe from Nothing. The following is a brief excerpt from his talk. Quote, "The universe is flat. It has zero total energy, and it could have begun from nothing. If you have nothing in quantum mechanics, you'll always get something. It's that simple. It doesn't convince any of those people, but it's true." Unquote. No, Krauss has not lost his mind. He is the director of the Origins Initiative at Arizona State University and is considered by some to be one of the most influential scientists in the field of cosmology, which is the study of the universe. Rather, Krauss reflects the standard profile of the many who choose to believe in anything as long as it's not the God of the Bible. Let's examine a couple other variations of the something from nothing belief for the Big Bang phase. The first one being the ekpyrotic model. This idea proposes that the Big Bang phase was not an explosion. Instead, this model suggests that the universe was created from the collision of two other worlds moving along a hidden extra dimension. Where these worlds and extra dimensions came from is a mystery. The cyclic universe model picks up where the ekpyrotic model left off and suggests that the universe perpetually begins and ends in trillion-year cycles. Ironically, instead of just one something from nothing event, this requires the something from nothing process to take place over and over again. Then there is the multi-universe or parallel universes model. Varying slightly, there are several multiverse models, but the following one hypothesizes that because we don't understand time within space, there might be other universes out there, and ours was probably not the first. In a different version of the multi-universe model, this model was originally suggested in 2003, but has made a recent comeback. It goes like this, quote, "The idea centers on how matter and energy falling into a black hole could in theory come out a white hole in another universe," unquote. There are endless other models that attempt to explain the initial creation of space, time, energy, and matter. But if the Big Bang theory is so successful, why do scientists persist in inventing new models? Are they devised by creationists or intelligent design proponents in attempt to cast doubt on the Big Bang theory? No, they're devised by secular scientists who realize the Big Bang theory is seriously flawed and needs repair. Listen to the following comments reflecting the serious problems with the standard model of the Big Bang theory. From Star Collaboration, UC Davis, quote, "According to theory, equal amounts of matter and antimatter should have been created in the Big Bang. However, if that were the case, the two kinds of matter would have canceled each other out, leaving nothing at all. Instead, the Big Bang yielded an observable universe made mostly of matter, with rare and fleeting particles of antimatter. Physicists call this problem CP violation, and it is one of the biggest unsolved problems in physics," unquote. From the Journal of Cosmology, quote, "There is a growing body of evidence which demonstrates the universe could not have begun with a Big Bang 13.75 billion years ago. Indeed, the day may come when it is determined there never was a Big Bang, and cosmologists of the future will only gaze back and wonder how anyone could have believed in a creation event which was refuted by so much contradictory evidence," unquote. From NASA, quote, "The Big Bang model is not complete. For example, it does not explain why the universe is so uniform on the very largest scales, or indeed, why it is so non-uniform on the smaller scales, i.e., how stars and galaxies came to be," unquote. Let's continue on and try to build the rest of the universe. According to the Big Bang Theory timeline, the next step would be the creation of light elements, which are most often classified as hydrogen and helium-related elements that have a low atomic weight. If this seems complicated, you only need to follow the progression of items. Knowing exactly what they are is not necessary. The following is the standard explanation for the origin of light elements. It claims that, quote, "The Big Bang Theory predicts that the early universe was a very hot place. 1 second after the Big Bang, the temperature of the universe was roughly 10 billion degrees and was filled with a sea of neutrons, protons, electrons, anti-electrons, or positrons, photons, and neutrinos. As the universe cooled, the neutrons either decayed into protons and electrons or combined with protons to make deuterium, an isotope of hydrogen. During the first 3 minutes of the universe, most of the deuterium combined to make helium. Trace amounts of lithium were also produced at this time," unquote. While there are all sorts of elaborate scenarios that might make you think this process could occur and produce these elements, none are based on naturally occurring phenomena. And this first step is the ultimate description of something coming from nothing. There are no naturalistic explanations for how or what made temperatures rise to 10 billion degrees, or how neutrons, protons, electrons, positrons, photons, and neutrinos spontaneously appear. The vague explanations for the origin of deuterium and helium are also not based on naturally occurring phenomena, and then lithium appears out of nowhere. Every explanation devised for the origin of light elements rely on supernatural forces that are attributed to a power that seems to violate or go beyond natural forces. So we'll add the origin of light elements as part of the something from nothing belief. Next, let's examine the origin of heavy elements, which are loosely defined as elements that are almost always metallic, have a higher atomic weight than hydrogen and helium, and are most often referred to collectively as dust grains, cosmic dust, interstellar dust, stellar dust, or just plain dust. Instead of evolving from a process that included lighter elements as believed in the recent past, most Big Bang followers now believe that heavy elements evolved from stars. But all stars that exist today are known to contain heavy elements, so claiming that heavy elements evolved from stars is like the cart before the horse, and does nothing to explain how they got into the stars in the first place. Here's the catch. It is believed that the very first stars, referred to as Population 3 or protostars, didn't contain heavy elements, but they somehow cooked them up later. Following that, real stars came after. The American Association for the Advancement of Science explains this process in more detail and suggests that, because the physics were simpler in the early universe, a simpler gas evolved first. They neglected to explain what these gases were or in what way the physics were simpler in order for this unknown phenomenon to occur. Then, when gravity acted on these simpler gases, matter and dark matter, protostars appeared and then grew into massive stars that, quote, likely, unquote, synthesized heavy elements. How did they arrive at this conclusion? Without any empirical evidence that shows this process can or has ever occurred, they recreated their hypothesis in a state-of-the-art computer simulation and then declared it true. Where are these dustless stars now? Regardless of the endless excuses, the fact is that none have ever been found, making the Big Bang Theory's explanation for the origin of heavy elements another addition to the something from nothing belief. We'll also declare protostars as officially missing. Let's examine other scenarios that attempt to explain how stars were originally created. The following scenario from NASA is the most mainstream explanation and claims that, quote, as the universe inflated, the tiny quantum fluctuations grew to become tiny variations in the amount of matter from one place to another. A tiny amount is all it takes for gravity to do its thing. The end result of the pull of gravity? Galaxies, stars, and planets. Unquote. This process is nothing but speculation and is clearly a supernatural process that is attributed to a power that seems to violate or go beyond natural forces. In a true sense of irony, though, NASA acknowledges that the Big Bang Theory lacks the needed fluctuations to even begin this process, so we can add the origin of stars to the something from nothing belief. Big Bang followers also believe that new stars are still being created today, but this process is different and not to be confused with how stars supposedly first evolved in the first place. Many believe that stars form within nebula, which are concentrated regions of gas clouds mixed with interstellar dust, i.e. heavy elements. These clouds of gas and dust are thought to collapse when some force nearby creates an energy around them, such as two clouds colliding. After collapsing, hundreds of protostars with dust begin to form and then evolve into real stars. It's a nice story, but it has no evidence substantiating it, and the physics supporting it are overwhelmingly problematic. First, it is known that gas clouds expand in space, not compress, and some energy nearby might cause clouds to break up, dissipate, or blow away, but not fall inward. Second, what would prompt free-flowing particles to spontaneously attract one another in order to begin the process of forming any structure of mass? The actual step of matter spontaneously clumping together to form mass has never been observed, and the mechanism for this is yet unknown.